Chapter 331. Killing the Immortal. 3. You actually. Young Master Beichen looked at monk Tianxin in horror, completely unexpected this situation. The monk Tianxin He actually broke through to the epic realm in all 365 acupoints in his body. Within each acupoint resides a Buddha and a demon, intertwined and merging, all of whom are at the epic realm. 365 acupoints. 365 Buddhas. 365 demons. All of these combined represent an epic level, but monk Tianxin himself has been suppressing himself, wanting to wait a little longer. Now he has suddenly broken through, and both the Buddha and the demon within his body are chanting an epic song, which has terrified the young master of Beichen. Is this monk a pervert? You madman, aren't you afraid of exploding and dying? Young Master Beichen roared, his hands trembling with shock and disbelief. Someone actually cultivated the energy of over 700 epic realms within their body, yet stubbornly refused to break through. Madman. Even with the eyes of an immortal, the young master of Beichen thought this was too crazy. Monk Tianxin said calmly, "Do you think I'm crazy?" "What do you mean?" Young Master Beichen looked at monk Tianxin in horror. "Is there anything crazier than this? You haven't seen the surging and powerful strength of my master. My little skills are utterly insignificant in front of him. I'm not even worthy to carry his shoes," monk Tianxin said sincerely. Xiandao possessed the energy of the 10 earths, condensed at the cave heaven realm. How terrifying was that? What was his 700+ epic realm level compared to that? One of the master's cave worlds was enough to crush him. Even if there were 10 or 100 times more, it still wouldn't be able to withstand that vast cave world. Your master. Young Master Beichen felt his worldview was about to collapse. This was so terrifying that it made him tremble. The Tian Shan Mountains now belong to my master. If you invade, you are courting death, monk Tianxin said coldly, twisting his hand as if to rip off the head of the young master of Beichen. No. Young Master Beichen roared. He had just broken through to the epic realm and possessed great power, which was why he was unwilling to wait for death. At this moment, he formed a hand seal, and a cold light burst forth from between his brows, exuding unparalleled power and terror. A celestial artifact, the soul-suppressing stone. This is a celestial artifact that the young master of Beichen has been refining for a very long time. Now that it has been unleashed, its power is immense and terrifying. It burst forth in an instant and broke through 2 layers of celestial restrictions. The immortal restriction has 9 layers. The power of the boundless realm can only unlock 1 layer, but upon entering the epic realm, the 2nd layer can be unlocked. The power of the 2nd level was far more terrifying than the first. Even monk Tianxin could not underestimate this attack. He quickly released young Master Beichen, shrunk his body, and avoided the fatal blow. However, the immortal artifact soul-suppressing stone had no intention of letting monk Tianxin go. It quickly pressed down and crushed him with a loud bang. "I'd like to see if you can withstand the power of a celestial artifact," said the young master of Beichen coldly. This celestial artifact is a treasure he has refined for tens of thousands of years. It is extremely powerful, and if it hits a person, it will damage their soul. That's why it's called the soul-suppressing stone. Monk Tianxin frowned and coldly retorted, "You think you're the only one with a celestial artifact?" Boom. A string of Buddhist prayer beads flew out from the dantian of the monk Tianxin. The Buddhist prayer beads, engraved with images of countless Buddhas, were suddenly brought to life by the monk Tianxin. Boom. Both layers of immortal restrictions were activated, and the myriad Buddha beads erupted, creating a majestic and radiant spiritual mountain filled with Buddhist teachings, which immediately blocked the soul-suppressing stone. At this moment, the soul-suppressing stone erupted with a black halo, making anyone who looked at it dizzy. But these were blocked by the 1,000 Buddha beads, which supported the void and prevented them from falling. The young master of Beichen frowned deeply, unsure of what to do. He couldn't beat monk Tianxin in a fight, and their magical weapons were evenly matched. Plus, there was a moon angel watching coldly from the side. He's in a deadly situation. The young master of Beichen was very unwilling. He looked around, his eyes darting about, and asked, "Who is your master? I want to see him. I have some things to tell him now. About my origins." The young master of Beichen is stalling for time. He hopes to meet the master of the Tian Shan Mountains. With so many geniuses loyal to it, who exactly is the master of this Tian Shan mountain range? Boom. Monk Tianxin had no interest in talking to him and coldly said, "My master already knows your origins. You're just celestial beings who descended to earth. You can't even beat me. You have no right to see my master." Monk Tianxin threw another punch, this time as fast as a shooting star, closing in instantly. Boom. The fist landed on the face of the young master of Beichen. The young master of Beichen had no time to react and was immediately knocked back, spitting out a mouthful of blood, his entire face deformed. "Stop!" Young master Beichen roared. "Since you know I am an immortal, you should also know that I have people in heaven. If you dare to kill me, you will surely suffer retribution," the young master of Beichen threatened in shock and anger. Click. But all he received in return was the cold gaze of Monk Tianxin and his strong, powerful arm, which twisted violently. This twist snapped the neck of the young master of Beichen. He stared in disbelief at the Monk Tianxin before collapsing limply to the ground. Monk Tianxin said indifferently, "What a weak immortal." The soul-suppressing stone in the distance, having lost its master's support, was instantly suppressed by the 10,000 Buddha beads. Monk Tianxin retrieved the 10,000 Buddha beads and picked up the soul-suppressing stone. He said to the Moon Angel, "You continue killing here. I will hand this celestial artifact over to its master." The Moon Angel nodded, said nothing, and turned to leave. The Monk Tianxin turned and left, leaving only 2 corpses at the scene. The ambitious young master of Beichen was reincarnated into the 9 heavens. He thought he could rule the world and wield the power of the 9 heavens. He would then obtain the key to the immortal gate, open it, receive rewards, and rise to great heights. But reality taught him a lesson. However, he was killed by the Monk Tianxin when he did not see Xiandao at the edge of the Tian Shan Mountains. Previously, the young master of Beichen had mocked Ma Qing, but at least Ma Qing died under Xiandao's sword energy, while he died at the hands of Tianxin, a subordinate of Xiandao. I wonder if young master Beichen regrets coming to Zhoutian. The empty forest became quiet after the Monk Tianxin left. However, the surrounding area was almost completely destroyed. There was no good atmosphere within 100 miles. Many people heard the noise, rushed over, and were shocked to find that the area was completely devastated. Qin Ku, the 10th member of the Qin family, a lineage of emperors. The outstanding disciple of a top-tier noble family, young Master Beichen. They both perished here. One was cut in half, and the other had its neck broken. Without exception, they were all forcibly murdered. Who did this? Are there really such terrifying people on the Tian Shan Mountains? Many people looked at each other in disbelief, feeling frightened. Both young Master Beichen and Qin Ku were top experts among the younger generation, yet they were killed so easily. What does that mean? This shows that there are many powerful and skilled people in the Tian Shan Mountains. For a moment, everyone hesitated to proceed when faced with the Tian Shan Mountains. Many people had already died, and everyone was in a state of panic. Young Master Beichen thought of killing someone from Tian Shan to boost morale. He never expected to be killed instead, which further dampened the morale of his side. Chapter 332 Devouring the Energy of Immortal Artifacts. Part 4. The news of the deaths of the young master of Beichen and Qin Ku caused a huge uproar, and as a result, far fewer people entered the Tian Shan Mountains. The murder of a peerless genius among the younger generation frightened others, making them hesitant to enter. In particular, the Moon Angel was portrayed as a beautiful female assassin who killed people everywhere, causing a great deal of concern among many. Xiandao of the Heaven and Earth Money Shop was also paying attention to these situations. Seeing that Monk Tianxin had killed a reincarnated immortal, Xiandao was quite satisfied and said, It wasn't in vain that I gave you so much dragon tooth rice. The reason why Monk Tianxin was able to gather such a huge amount of energy so quickly was largely due to the support from Xiandao behind the scenes. In recent months, the planting area of Longya rice has expanded and the quantity has increased. The ancestors of Longya rice were responsible for the planting and harvesting of Longya rice within the Chendi Chenjuang, Heaven and Earth Money House. As for the distribution of these dragon tooth rice, Xiandao took 5 layers, Monk Tianxin took 4 layers, and they were then divided among the others on the next level. Taking away the dragon tooth rice from the 4th layer allowed Monk Tianxin to cultivate so quickly, and now he has even killed a reincarnated immortal. This is why, after obtaining the immortal artifact soul-suppressing stone from the young master of Beichen, Monk Tianxin immediately returned to the Heaven and Earth Bank and handed the soul-suppressing stone over to Xiandao. Master, this is the immortal artifact of young master Beichen, which works on the soul. Monk Tianxin handed the immortal artifact to Xiandao. Xiandao reached out and took it, examining it carefully. The soul-suppressing stone is a jet-black stone with many arrays carved inside, which together form 9 immortal restrictions. Xiandao discovered that there was a great deal of soul power inside this immortal artifact. These are all stored up by the soul-suppressing stone over the years. Besides the young master of Beichen, there were also people killed by the soul-suppressing stone. Xiandao reached out and slapped the beautiful soul-suppressing stone. Boom! The soul-suppressing stone rippled and trembled, its energy surging as it struggled to break free from Xiandao's grasp. The magical artifact possesses a spirit. It knows its master is dead, and the person holding it now is not its master. But could Xiandao let it be stolen? Bite. With a flick of his finger, a terrifying force instantly penetrated into the soul-suppressing stone, bursting forth with tremendous light, which instantly suppressed the soul-suppressing stone. The soul-suppressing stone lay obediently in Xiandao's hand. Within the Heaven and Earth Bank, you cannot disobey me, Xiandao said calmly. Xiandao did not use his own power just now, and his power is not enough to make a celestial artifact submit to him so easily. Xiandao was using the power of the Heaven and Earth Bank. Within the Heaven and Earth Bank, even the Lord of the Immortal Realm was not as powerful as Xiandao. In the Heaven and Earth Bank, Xiandao is an eternal god. Master, then I shall take my leave. Monk Tianxin said respectfully upon seeing this scene. Go down and get some rest. You killed young Master Beichen, so the major powers won't just be making a fuss. They'll launch a full-scale attack, Xiandao said softly. Monk Tianxin nodded, turned around and went down to continue consolidating the power within his body and improving his strength. Xiandao, on the other hand, looked at the soul-suppressing stone. Your immortal artifact contains far too much soul energy. Obediently give it to me, and I'll help you find a master so you can continue to unleash your power, Xiandao said calmly, placing the soul-suppressing stone on the table and tapping it. The soul-suppressing stone remained unmoved, like a stubborn rock, seemingly telling Xiandao, even if you suppress me, I will not yield. Xiandao removed his mask, smiled gently, and said, if I can suppress you, I can cut you apart and slowly decompose you so that you can never revive. I can still obtain the soul power contained within your body. The soul-suppressing stone trembled, startled by Xiandao, and then slowly opened its internal space. Rumble. A vast black sea. Boundless. The waves are surging, lapping against the shore. Extremely shocking. The water in the Black Sea is entirely filled with soul power. That's terrifying. The power of the soul was so concentrated that it liquefied, and then gathered into a boundless sea. This is simply a huge treasure trove. No one knows how many people the young master of Beichen has killed over the tens of thousands of years, but every time he kills someone, he absorbs the soul power of that person and puts it into the soul-suppressing stone. This 10,000 years of persistent effort has culminated in the formation of the Black Sea. Xiandao was overjoyed and carefully observed the Black Sea. Not only are they numerous, but they are also of high quality. The young master of Beichen spent 10,000 years in the immortal realm, and most of the people he killed were immortals. How could the soul of an immortal be inferior? Even the lowest-ranking immortal has a soul essence that is not bad. Young Master Beichen originally intended to use these to help himself break through to the next realm. However, after descending to the mortal realm, he was reluctant to use it, always feeling that it would be a foolish act to squander the wealth he had painstakingly accumulated in the 9 heavens. So in the end, it was Xiandao who benefited. Xiandao took a deep breath, and wisps of black energy entered his nose and then his sea of consciousness, increasing his power. Good. This is indeed a soul power of excellent quality. This is enough for me to break through. Xiandao was extremely satisfied. Although this amount of soul energy was large, he was a person with 10 earthly realms, and the energy required for his breakthrough was far greater than that of others. This black sea, even if it were used by 10,000 people who were also at the epic level to break through, would not be enough. This is an ocean. As for Xiandao, he felt that it would be good if he could break through to the epic realm. Xiandao had just broken through to the epic realm and was already familiar with it. Now, with the help of the soul-suppressing stone, Xiandao felt that he could cross over. "Give me all of your soul essence," Xiandao commanded. They dared not refuse to give him the soul-suppressing stone, and thus completely opened up the matter to Xiandao. Rumble. Xiandao swallowed it all in one gulp, like an ox chewing on a peony. For example, when Pigsy ate the ginseng fruit, he didn't even know what it tasted like after it entered his stomach. He was completely immersed in the essence of the soul, absorbing it from every pore and every hair. Rumble. Xiandao's cultivation level has once again begun to advance by leaps and bounds. His soul power has made the greatest progress, advancing towards a higher realm. Throughout the room, Xiandao was frantically absorbing and improving himself. Outside the Tianshan Mountains, people from various forces silently watched the corpses of Beichen's young master and Qin Ku. "The losses are heavy," the Qin family patriarch said angrily. "These people in the Tianshan Mountains are simply too powerful. Relying on the younger generation, there's no way we can break through," someone said with a gloomy expression. "Don't care about the younger or older generation. All of you, charge up Tianshan. People from all your major forces, push them all over the place. I don't believe that with so many experts, he can withstand us," the Qin family patriarch said coldly, glancing around with a fierce look in his eyes. Only when he looked at Qin Ku did his eyes show anger and guilt. Qin Ku, his illegitimate son, also died. Chapter 333 An Invitation. Part 5. Qin Ku is the illegitimate son of the Qin family patriarch, and no one except the Qin family patriarch and Qin Ku's mother knows this. Qin Ku's father was unaware of this. Qin Ku didn't know. The elders of the Qin family were unaware of this. Even after Qin Ku was born, the head of the Qin family never had any contact with Qin Ku's mother again. They wanted to hide this relationship and give Qin Ku a home, a perfect home. Therefore, when Qin Ku died, the Qin family head could only express his grief as the family head, not as a father. The head of the Qin family was practically going crazy. He had only 2 children in his life, Qin Kuan and Qin Ku. Qin Kutsai was killed, and now Qin Ku has been killed again. He is old and his cultivation has become so profound that he can no longer have children. This also means that the Qin family patriarch's lineage has ended. Of course, the Qin family line has not ended, but for the Qin family head, he is now filled with anger and has nowhere to vent it, so he can only coldly stare at the Tianshan Mountains. The people who killed his 2 sons are in the Tianshan Mountains. The Qin family patriarch received news that Qingling and the dead donkey were in the Tianshan Mountains, which also meant that the person who killed Qin Kuan was in the Tianshan Mountains. It could even be just one person. Stop with these petty probing attacks. The Bei family has lost a promising young master, and this grudge must be avenged. You suggested that the younger generation take the lead, and the Bei family responded. Now that young master Bei Chen is dead, aren't you forces going to do anything? Are you just going to sit here and wait? An elder of the Bei family coldly surveyed the surroundings, extremely angry. The Bei family doesn't know that Bei Chen is a reincarnated immortal, but Bei Chen's genius is obvious to all, and he will definitely become a great master at the emperor level in the future. Now that they've died here, and in such a miserable way, these forces must take a stand. All the major powers fell silent and looked at the head of the Qin family. He is the commander this time. Of course we should listen to him. I wonder what attitude the Bei family wants. The Qin family patriarch asked with his eyes closed. Naturally, we must storm Mount Tian to avenge young Master Beichen and the thousands who died this time, the elder of the Bei family said angrily. This time, it wasn't just the death of the young master of Beichen. The others also performed admirably. Besides the Moon Angel who killed over 1,000 people, the others who killed a total of over 4,000 people. Together they cost over 5,000. It can be said that every company suffered heavy losses. These disciples are not ordinary newly initiated disciples, nor are they outer disciples. They are true core disciples. More than 5,000 core disciples have died, and all the major forces are furious. He had only intended to train these disciples, but who knew that Xiandao would release his terrifying group of subordinates? This bloodbath made these forces grit their teeth in hatred. I also agree with going up to the Tian Shan Mountains, an elder of one of the factions said in a deep voice. I agree. This matter cannot be left like this. The elder of Han Tiandao said coldly. Their grand elder's death was simply unacceptable to them. The eldest brother is their key disciple whom they are grooming. He could be considered the future leader of the Han Tiandao sect, and he was killed just like that. Will the Han Tiandao sect let this go? One or two people said this, and then everyone said it. In an instant the crowd was indignant, which made the Qin family patriarch open his eyes, look around, and say, "You all think this way?" All the factions nodded in agreement. The Qin family patriarch smiled coldly and said, "Since everyone says so, let's make preparations and march straight to Tianshan." As soon as the Qin family patriarch finished speaking, someone came in to report. "My lords, a woman has come from the Tianshan mountains, saying she has come to deliver something," the guard announced loudly. "Delivering something?" The Qin family patriarch frowned, looking at the guard. "Let her in. I want to see what tricks the people from Tianshan are up to." The elder of the Bei family stood up angrily, his expression icy. "Yes, let her in. I want to see if this person is truly fearless and dares to come before us," the elder of the chaotic heaven path said coldly. The guard immediately looked at the Qin family head. Without his permission, he dared not leave easily. "Let him in. He's a guest, and I want to see if he's a good guest or a bad one," the Qin family head said coldly. The guards immediately ran out, moving at lightning speed. All the people from various factions in the courtyard remained silent, looking towards the gate. This was their first time making contact with people from the Tianshan mountains. Da-da-da. The crisp sound of footsteps echoed, accompanied by the rustling of armor and a fragrant aroma. The Moon Angel Ursula walked with a cat-like gait, her figure graceful as she entered the courtyard. Swish, swish, swish. In that instant, countless eyes fell upon her. Some eyes were filled with doubt, some with lust, some with murderous intent, and some with suspicion. When the Qin family patriarch saw the Moon Angel, his eyes narrowed, and he instantly remembered what Qingling had said when she was being beaten. Qin Kuan was killed because of his sister Yu. And his sister Yu is the woman in front of him with an outstanding figure and remarkable cultivation. Qin Yu. The Qin family patriarch gritted his teeth and said. He confirmed the identity of the Moon Angel Ursula. There was no mistake. The Moon Angel was Qin Yu. Moon Angel also looked at the head of the Qin family. She could never forget this face. It was this person who announced her as the new generation of Mata back then. It can be said that the reason why Moon Angel is where she is today is because of this Qin family head. So the Moon Angel bowed, a slight smirk playing on her lips, whether in gratitude or disdain, and lazily said, "Moon Angel Ursula greets the Qin family head." The Qin family patriarch stood with his hands behind his back and sneered. "You've betrayed the Qin family, become someone else's subordinate, a beast of burden, and even changed your name?" This is a mockery of the Moon Angel as merely a dog of the master of the Tian Shan Mountains. Yes, my name was given to me by my master, and I think it sounds much better than Qin Yu. The Moon Angel was not ashamed, but rather proud. The Qin family patriarch's face was icy cold, and his aura pressed down like a mountain. Do you really think you can compete with me now? The Moon Angel took a step back. The Qin family patriarch's terrifying cultivation level made her dare not easily confront him. She would surely suffer a complete defeat. At that moment, the Moon Angel suddenly remembered an invitation her master had given her. I am delivering this invitation on behalf of my master. Please come to Tianqi Lake in Tianshan in 3 days for a banquet. At that time, the ownership of Tianshan will be clear. The Moon Angel took out the invitation that Xiandao had given her earlier. Inside the Heaven and Earth Bank, Xiandao absorbed the soul power within countless soul-suppressing stones to enhance himself. At the same time, he noticed that various forces outside were gathering, seemingly preparing to attack. So he summoned the Moon Angel and asked her to deliver an invitation. This is also why the Moon Angel came here. Boom. The moment the invitation was presented, an aura no less imposing than that of the Qin family patriarch erupted forth. And this sentence was also included in the invitation. 3 days from now, Xiandao will be waiting for you all at Tianqi. Anyone who dares to lay a finger on Tianshan without coming will be killed without mercy. Xiandao's domineering voice echoed in the courtyard. Chapter 334 Sword Qi Clone. Part 6. Xiandao's domineering words enraged everyone present, and they all glared at the Moon Angel, their anger rising. Your master really doesn't respect us at all, the elder of the chaotic heaven path said angrily. Simply insane, ignorant, and arrogant, the elder of the Bei family said coldly. The Qin family patriarch scoffed. Does your master really think we'd listen to him and attend the banquet? The Moon Angel wasn't nervous at all. She said, My master said that you don't have to come, but from now on, anyone who dares to set foot in the Tianshan Mountains within 3 days will die. The elder of the chaotic heaven path laughed loudly, looking at the Moon Angel with utter disdain, and said, Your master is so powerful, how could he possibly control whether we enter the heavenly mountain or not? The elder of the Bei family gave a mocking smile and said, Has your master lost his mind? The Tianshan Mountains stretch for thousands of miles. Can your master restrict everyone? The Qin family patriarch said coldly. No one present believed what the Moon Angel said. They all thought it was just empty talk. You can try it if you don't believe me, the Moon Angel said calmly and confidently, showing complete confidence in her master. The elder of the Bei family sneered. I'll make you give up. I'll show you that your master was just bragging, and you actually believed him. With a wave of his hand, the elder of the Bei family sent 3 disciples heading straight for the Tianshan Mountains from different directions. Open your eyes and look carefully. These 3 disciples are all descendants of my Bei family. Your master's idea of killing them silently is simply wishful thinking, the Bei family elder said coldly. The Moon Angel didn't even look behind her, but stared at the group of people in front of her, and said confidently, I don't need to open my eyes wide to see. On the contrary, you are the ones who need to open your eyes wide and take a good look. The elder of the northern clan squinted at his 3 disciples. People from other factions were also watching. They didn't believe the Moon Angel's words, but the Moon Angel's certainty made them suspicious, so they watched silently. The courtyard fell silent, with a dozen or so top-tier powers watching in quiet contemplation. No one spoke, everyone watched silently. The 3 members of the Bei family were very fast. They were all at the Cave Heaven realm, and flew towards Tianshan from 3 directions. They didn't believe the Moon Angel's words, so they acted recklessly and tried to rush into the Tianshan Mountains. What's so difficult about that? A member of the northern clan said dismissively. I've come in now. It seems the master of this Tianshan mountain range is all talk and no action, another member of the northern family said with a mocking smile. Only the last member of the northern clan sensed something was wrong, looked up at the sky, and couldn't believe it. A sword aura shot down from the Tianshan Mountains. The one who unleashed this sword energy was none other than Xiandao. At this moment, Xiandao was in the heaven and earth bank, cultivating with his eyes closed, multitasking while also keeping an eye on the Tianshan Mountains. The three members of the Bei family barged in, and Xiandao immediately noticed them. He smiled coldly and said, "There really are some who are not afraid of death. Then use your lives to let the people of Hanuishan know how powerful I am." Using his finger as a sword, he lightly tapped it, and a sword aura shot down, instantly exploding and splitting into three, shooting down from three different directions. So only one of the three from the Bei family noticed, but it was too late. They couldn't withstand the power of the sword. Puff, puff, puff. All three were instantly pierced by the sword energy, pinned to the ground, their bodies trembling, dying almost instantly without pain. Trembling occurs because the body's nerves haven't yet registered the death and haven't realized the person is dead. 5 seconds later, 3 more corpses appeared in the Tianshan Mountains. All of this was witnessed by people from various powerful factions within the courtyard. Someone gasped. Some people frowned, feeling a sense of unease. Some people dismissed it, not taking Xiandao's attack seriously. But the elder of the northern family flew into a rage, glaring at the moon angel and roaring, "I'll kill you!" Because of his mistake, the Bei family lost 3 more outstanding geniuses. The elder's heart was bleeding, and he vented all his hatred on the moon angel, unleashing a powerful force that was none other than the epic realm. Moon Angel took a step back, looking at the elder of the northern family with a solemn expression. Boom! The elder of the northern clan was furious. Due to his momentary mistake, he had sent 3 members of his own clan to investigate and confirm whether it was true. Now that these 3 were dead, he was the culprit. But he dared not take such responsibility and quickly shifted the blame to Yu Tian. "It's all because of your arrival that my Bei family has lost 3 talented disciples. I will kill you to avenge them." The Bei family elder roared, his body instantly rushing forward to kill Yu Tiansha. Rumble. The elder's aura was terrifying, rapidly spreading, erupting, and imprisoning the area, locking onto the moon angel and making it impossible for her to move an inch. The moon angel stood there dumbfounded, motionless, letting the elders of the northern clan attack her. Even the moon angel was smiling as she looked at the elders of the northern family. "What are you laughing at?" The elder of the north family shouted angrily. "I'm laughing at you for dying." Moon angel sneered. "You're talking big again. Now it's your turn to die." The elder of the Bei family slammed his fist down, about to smash it into Moon Angel's forehead. Boom. The power unleashed by this punch was immense and terrifying. If the Moon Angel wants to avoid it, she can activate the first layer of restriction on the moon wheel. But she didn't move. Because the Moon Angel believed that her master would definitely save her. Sure enough, just as the punch was about to reach the Moon Angel's head, a sword aura shot out from the heavens, extremely terrifying and incredibly fast, arriving in front of the Moon Angel in an instant. Boom. The sword energy was like a rainbow, startling everyone in the courtyard. The next second, everyone heard a scream, followed by a groan, as an arm was severed off, and blood splattered all over the ground. "Ah, my arm!" The elder of the Bei family screamed, clutching his wound and looking at the Moon Angel in disbelief. From beginning to end, the Moon Angel did not move an inch. She believed in her master. The master won't let her down. A sword aura, spanning millions of miles, slashed across and severed the arm of the elder of the northern clan. Under everyone's watchful eyes, the sword energy did not dissipate, but instead transformed into Xiandao. Dressed in white and wearing a mask, with his back straight, he looked around and sneered. "I sent the Moon Angel to deliver the invitation, and this is how you powerful forces treat your envoys? This is an incarnation of Xiandao's sword energy, as everyone knows." Even knowing it was an incarnation, everyone was still shocked. After all, many people don't have the ability to sever the arm of a Bei family elder with a single sword strike. The Qin family patriarch said coldly, "Isn't your behavior a bit too domineering?" Xiandao looked at the Qin family head and said without any politeness, "Whether one is domineering or not depends on strength. I will be waiting for you at Tianqi in 3 days. Whoever enters the Tianshan Mountains in these 3 days will die. Chapter 335 3-Day Deadline. Part 1. Everyone present was enraged by Li Xiandao's domineering attitude. Elder Hun Xiandao, his face full of anger, pointed at Li Xiandao and said disdainfully, "You are just a sword chi, how dare you act so wildly in front of so many of us?" Li Xiandao coldly said, "I am just a sword aura, capable of killing one of you from tens of millions of miles away. Don't force my true form to come here." Elder Hun Xiandao looked at Li Xiandao with a sense of frustration, knowing that what he said was true. Li Xiandao's true form must be terrifying. But it's absolutely impossible for him to back down. I've never seen such domineering behavior before. I wonder if it's confidence or arrogance. The Qin family patriarch stopped the elder of the Hun Xiandao and faced Li Xiandao directly, his aura surging. Li Xiandao's sword energy clone was no less impressive, and its aura was on par with that of the Qin family head. He said, "Confidence and arrogance will be revealed in 3 days." "Very well, in 3 days, I'll see just how powerful you, the Lord of Tianshan, are at Tianqi," the Qin family patriarch said with a cold smile. "However, before that, this person is a traitor to the Qin family and must be kept alive." The Qin family head pointed and said coldly, "The Moon Angel's death is related to the deaths of his 2 sons, so how could the Qin family patriarch let her go? A traitor to the Qin family?" Li Xiandao scoffed, then declared firmly, "The Moon Angel is now one of my 4 archangels, not a traitor to your Qin family." The Qin family patriarch glared angrily at Li Xiandao, his voice icy as he said, "Lord of Tianshan, are you deliberately protecting a traitor from my Qin family?" Li Xiandao said indifferently, "If you have the ability to keep her here, you can try." The Qin family patriarch laughed in fury and said, "Fine, then let's try it. I want to see if your sword energy can take away the traitor of my Qin family right in front of me." "You want to test my abilities?" Li Xiandao's eyes lit up, and he became eager to try. He had just absorbed the soul power from the immortal artifact soul-suppressing stone, greatly increasing his strength, but he still didn't have a clear understanding of himself. Since the Qin family patriarch wanted to help Li Xiandao understand his own power, he was more than happy to oblige. The head of the Qin family took a step forward. Boom. Its momentum was like a storm, sweeping across the surroundings. It spread rapidly, expanded, and with a rumble, in an instant, the entire courtyard was ripped open. Rumble. The surrounding area for miles was left in a state of utter devastation. This is merely an aura. The Qin family patriarch is indeed powerful. People from all the major factions retreated and watched the 2 masters fight from a great distance. Surrounded by countless black lights, the Qin family patriarch stared at Li Xiandao and warned, "Hand over the traitor of my Qin family, or don't blame me for being impolite." "I'd like to see how impolite you are," Li Xiandao said coldly. Even a sword aura was nothing to be afraid of. "Leave now, and I'd like to see who dares to stop you," Li Xiandao said to the Moon Angel. "Yes, master." Moon Angel was very obedient. When Li Xiandao told her to leave, she left without delay or worry about Li Xiandao's safety. In her heart, her master was invincible. The Qin family patriarch is very powerful, but he is definitely no match for the master. The Moon Angel's worship of Li Xiandao ran deep in her bones. So she simply turned around and left. The Qin family patriarch's eyes narrowed, and he laughed angrily. "You underestimate me so much. Today I will let you know how powerful the Qin family's techniques are." Boom. The Qin family patriarch arrived instantly, slamming his large hand down fiercely. The sky-piercing giant handprint. This strike was incredibly powerful. The palm grew larger, covering the entire area. As it covered the area, the light and shadow dimmed, and a vast and mighty force burst forth. Boom, boom, boom. The void suddenly cracked open, revealing numerous fissures, and an extremely terrifying aura descended. Many people around were amazed by the Qin family head's attack. As expected of the Qin family head, His skill was clearly different from that of ordinary people. Xiandao remained calm and composed, staring directly at the enormous hand that blotted out the sky, and pointed it with his fingers as if it were a sword. Boom! A burst of sword energy erupted, a sword move unleashed by the sword energy clone. Its power was still considerable. A burst of dark light instantly split the sky, covering giant hand in two. Xiandao's sword energy was extremely terrifying. After the Qin family patriarch's sky-supporting great handprint erupted, it directly struck the heavens and earth, but it was still shattered by Xiandao's sword energy. The next second, Xiandao took a step forward and said, "You slapped me, now it's my turn to give you a sword." The Qin family patriarch's expression changed. Instead of advancing, he retreated, widening the distance between himself and Xiandao. But Xiandao didn't care at all, and directly shouted, "A thought blooms, sword energy is like autumn." With one step, Xiandao's entire body was enveloped in sword energy, all of which converged into this single strike. Rumble! Xiandao's sword energy gathered together, transforming into a beautiful flower. The sword energy was crystal clear, and the flower was extremely beautiful. With a gentle breeze, petals scattered all over the sky. At first glance, these petals were both extremely beautiful and extremely terrifying. It was impossible to tell whether they were Xiandao or the petals themselves. They were all flying towards the Qin family patriarch. The Qin family patriarch had no way to avoid it. A single thought can bloom a flower, and the sword's aura can be as sharp as autumn. This attack was the full power of Xiandao's sword energy, gathered together and enveloping the Qin family patriarch, causing his expression to change drastically. Moonlight heavenly scripture. The Qin family patriarch unleashed the Qin family's unparalleled martial art, and a silver moon burst forth from his palm, surging outwards. Rumble! Xiandao's petal sword technique struck the moon, instantly unleashing a tremendous aura and light that shimmered all around. An indescribable oppressive force pressed down on everything, as if it were a world-destroying power. Rumble! Centered on this courtyard, the area within a 10-mile radius was instantly cleared out. Countless houses collapsed. Fortunately, the area had already been cleared of people by various forces, and all the injured were their own people. Puff! The moon of the Qin family patriarch was shattered by Xiandao's petals. Countless petals directly struck his chest, causing the Qin family patriarch to spit out a mouthful of blood. He staggered back a few steps, looking around in horror. Xiandao has disappeared. The petals are gone too. The moon angel has also disappeared. The Qin family patriarch frowned, wiped the blood from the corner of his mouth, and said, "Such powerful strength! A mere sword aura possesses such terrifying power. This Lord of Tianshan is not to be trifled with." Seeing this, the other powerful figures fell silent. They all looked up at the Tianshan mountains, and from thousands of miles away, they could almost see Xiandao standing on the edge of the heavenly pool, looking down at them. "The Lord of Tianshan will surely die in 3 days." The elder of the Bei family, with a severed arm and a ferocious expression, said before turning to leave to find experts from the Bei family for reinforcements. Chapter 336 Youth is Wonderful. Part 2. Inside the heaven and earth bank, Xiandao opened his eyes and let out a long sigh. "My strength is still not enough. If I had improved a little more, that sword energy just now would have been enough to kill the Qin family patriarch," Xiandao said regretfully. If the head of the Qin family heard these words, he would definitely be so frustrated that he would vomit blood. "You made me cough up blood with just one of your sword energy clones, and you're still not satisfied?" In fact, Xiandao was really dissatisfied. He looked at the soul-suppressing stone, his eyes flashing. "There is still a lot of enormous energy. These 3 days will be a time for me to make great strides. In 3 days, let's resolve the troubles of Tianshan at Tianqi." Xiandao took the initiative to have the moon angel deliver the invitation in order to buy himself some time. Now that we've intimidated them, things will be peaceful for the next 3 days. After that, no matter how much trouble they cause, Xiandao will have the confidence to deal with it. Moreover, Murong Longqing, Titan Giant, Poisonous Python, and Ling Wu are also diligently practicing the cultivation techniques given to them by Xiandao. They are also extremely powerful fighters. The four of them work together to transform Ma Qing into the Great Emperor and nail him to the Tian Shan Mountains 10,000 years ago. How terrifying would it be if these people joined forces 10,000 years from now? Therefore, Xiandao only needs 3 days. 3 days later, a grand event will be held at Tianqi. Shao Qi, give the order to have them set up a venue for the grand event in Tianqi. In 3 days, we will welcome all the major forces of Han Yuishan. Xiandao transmitted his voice. Shao Qi replied, I understand, but you still need to be careful. If an extremely powerful person comes, they're not someone to be trifled with. Xiandao laughed and said, if such a person comes, I will hide in the Heaven and Earth Bank, devote myself to cultivation for a while, and then deal with him. However, given the current situation, all the major powers have only sent outstanding disciples and elders. True reclusive masters are rarely seen, Shao Qi communicated with Xiandao via telepathy. The two of them were in their own rooms, not meeting, and whispering to each other. That's natural. These powerful forces aren't stupid. The Tian Shan Mountains have abundant resources, but it's not worth sending their hidden experts out. Besides, there are people from the immortal realm guiding things from behind. Nobody wants to be a target for the immortal realm, Xiandao guessed. Didn't the people from the major powers know that the immortal sect had been closed? They must have known. Only tens of thousands of years have passed. The things that caused such a stir back then, some people are still alive today. The people of the immortal realm want to open the immortal gate and are instigating various forces to attack Tian Shan. Representatives from various powerful forces arrived, and upon closer inspection, they were all outstanding disciples and elders. The most powerful among them was the clan head. But now that we've killed so many people, some of them are bound to get restless, so we still need to be careful, Shao Qi reminded Xian. I know. Xiandao nodded, ended the call with Shao Qi, and summoned Murong Longqing and the other 3. These 4 are currently the strongest fighting force under Xiandao's command, so Xiandao naturally has to take care of them. To prevent hidden experts from various factions from attacking, Xiandao decided to open the time hall to them this time. Let them spend several hundred years in the Hall of Time. Even if they can't break through, they can still master all the cultivation techniques that Xiandao gave them. Xiandao will also enter the Time Palace and completely absorb the soul power within the soul-suppressing stone. An endless black sea would definitely improve Xiandao a lot. Before long, Murong Longqing, Titan Giant, Poisonous Python, and Zero Wu arrived. Master! Several people sincerely greeted Xiandao. Having received the cultivation techniques bestowed by Xiandao, the group returned to practice and felt their progress was rapid. The Titan, in particular, whose body had shrunk from over 10 meters tall to about 3 meters, experienced a surge in strength that multiplied several times over. The Titan's divine magic was indeed incredibly powerful, and combined with their Titan bloodline, it allowed the Titan giants to progress rapidly. He was also the most loyal to Xiandao among the 4, because he was simple-minded, even a bit dull-witted, and simply put, he was single-minded, putting all his thoughts into cultivation. He will be loyal to whoever treats him well and will never betray them. Murong Longqing treated him well and adopted him. He guarded the Tian Shan Mountains for Murong Longqing for 20,000 years. Now that Murong Longqing has submitted to Xiandao, he has followed suit. Xiandao treated him well, so he was loyal to him wholeheartedly. Xiandao really liked this way of thinking. You have all received the cultivation techniques. Now follow me. Xiandao stood up and led them to the time hall. Under normal circumstances, Xiandao doesn't use the time palace much. Because if it takes 500 years to go in, then you'll have to pay the price of 1,000 years. Moreover, one cannot improve by simply practicing asceticism. If arduous cultivation is effective, then there's no need for opportunities or resources. Everyone can retreat to their caves to cultivate, and tens of thousands of years later, they will all become immortals. Li Xiandao only enters the Time Palace on special occasions. For example, this time, absorbing the soul power from the soul-suppressing stone. This requires silent absorption, so it's very suitable for the whole of time. For Murong Longqing and the others to fully master the cultivation technique given by Li Xiandao, it would be suitable to enter the Time Palace. The others who entered the Time Hall, just like those outside, secluded themselves for arduous cultivation, but made little progress. It's better to go out and fight to the death, to experience the great terror between life and death, and to gain profound enlightenment. At the entrance of the Time Palace, Li Xiandao led them here and explained the rules of the Time Palace. How many years can you choose to pay now? Li Xiandao asked. Murong Longqing and his 3 companions stared in awe at the Time Palace. This involved the realm of time, an unparalleled divine power. The construction of a Time Palace was truly terrifying. They looked at Li Xiandao with even greater reverence for their master. Master, I am very old and don't have much time left, so let's say 100 years, Murong Longqing said. It is very old, from the same era as the old man of Tianqi, only a few hundred years younger. The old man of Tianqi has been dead for tens of thousands of years, and Murong Longqing had previously made a deal with the Heaven and Earth Bank, paying with 10,000 years. So 100 years is already quite a lot. Li Xiandao nodded. 100 years is enough time to spend 50 years in the Time Palace. 50 years is enough for Murong Longqing to master the cultivation technique given to him by Li Xiandao. Master, I'll take 1,000 years, the Titan said in a deep voice. He needed to fully master the Titan race's divine arts, purify his bloodline, and improve himself. 1,000 years would be just the right amount of time. I'll also live for 1,000 years, the venomous python said with a smile, hoping to leave a good impression on its master. The venomous python knew that he was usually very serious, rarely smiled, and looked gloomy. In order not to leave Li Xiandao with this impression, he began to practice smiling. I'm also from 1,000 years ago, Zero said. Murong Longqing looked at the 3 of them and silently envied them. It's so good to be young. Chapter 337 The Tournament Begins. Part 3. First, he sent Murong Longqing, the Titan Giant, the Poisonous Python, and Ling Wu into the Time Hall and helped them adjust the flow of time before Li Xiandao entered. Li Xiandao did not choose 1,000 years. He directly burned 2,000 years of his lifespan. Burning for 2,000 years allows one to reside in the Hall of Time for 1,000 years. Li Xiandao stepped inside, closed his eyes, and began to silently improve himself. The soul-suppressing stone was also brought in by Li Xiandao. With a loud bang, it exploded, releasing all the soul energy it contained. A mighty and magnificent procession. A black ocean filled the Palace of Time. Fortunately, Li Xiandao was in a separate space, which was extremely large, practically boundless, and could contain this entire Black Sea. Li Xiandao was not sitting cross-legged in meditation, but lying flat in the Black Sea, completely submerged. Li Xiandao's dantian, soul, and pores were all absorbing this massive amount of energy. In particular, Li Xiandao's soul jumped out of Li Xiandao's body and began to frantically absorb soul energy. Time passed quickly, and Li Xiandao's soul grew rapidly, transforming from a child into an adult just like Li Xiandao. The body sank to the bottom of the Black Sea and was completely submerged, while the soul floated on the surface, constantly absorbing nutrients. Time passed second by second. In 100 years, the Black Sea has shrunk by 1/5. He maintained a steady speed thereafter, and it took 500 years for Li Xiandao to completely absorb the soul of this vast Black Sea. Both his physical body and soul have increased dramatically. The energy within his body was being compressed wildly. If a needle were to pierce Li Xiandao's soul, he would suffer a severe injury. That is, Li Xiandao can absorb the energy safely in the Time Hall. The energy has been absorbed, and it still needs to be integrated to enhance my strength. Li Xiandao opened his eyes, looking at his soul. His body and soul came together and began to merge. Rumble. At this moment, Li Xiandao's cultivation level rose rapidly. Over the next 500 years, Li Xiandao's cultivation continued to improve, and he also absorbed all the soul energy inside the soul-suppressing stone. 500 years later, Li Xiandao stepped out of the time palace, and 3 days had passed in the outside world. He walked out with no air of authority whatsoever, as if he were an ordinary person, his every move simple and without any imposing presence. But when Murong Longqing and the other 3 came out and saw Li Xiandao's back, they were all shocked. "Master, what is this?" Murong Longqing asked in surprise. "Heaven and earth are one." Ling Wu swallowed hard, envious. "Master is so amazing," the venomous python exclaimed. "It's normal for my master to be so powerful," the titan said nonchalantly. The world they saw of Li Xiandao was this entire realm. When Li Xiandao stood there, it was as if a whole world had been created around him. Li Xiandao turned his head, wearing a mask, and looked at them, asking, "Have you mastered all the cultivation techniques?" "We have it all under control," Murong Longqing nodded. "Master, I can now charge into battle for you and slay all enemies," the titan said coldly, cracking his fists. He was still 3 meters tall, but his blood and qi were extremely concentrated, and his entire body was purple, making him incredibly powerful. There was also a venomous python, which laughed and said, "Master, my poison has evolved many times. Only those with unparalleled strength can withstand it." "Master, my swordsmanship has also evolved," Ling Wu added. Li Xiandao looked at them and nodded, saying, "In that case, we can set off. The Tianshan banquet is about to begin, and this time we must resolve the troubles in Tianshan." The Tianshan Mountains, which had been quiet for 3 days, were flooded with people today. Most of the top forces in Honyue Heaven have arrived, except for some forces that are not interested in the Tianshan Mountains, who are watching coldly from the sidelines. The Qin family patriarch arrived with many people, not the younger generation, but the elders of the Qin family, as well as some seniors who had been in seclusion for cultivation. The Qin family patriarch, with a cold expression, stepped into the Tianshan Mountains and saw a figure waiting there. "The sky is bright." He had been waiting there for a while, and waved his hand, saying, "Welcome everyone. My master has prepared a banquet on Tianqi Lake. Please come in." As the saying goes, one shouldn't hit a smiling face. The Qin family patriarch, who was furious, flicked his sleeve and said coldly, "This banquet is probably the food for your master's funeral." Tian Guangming remembered Shao Qi's instructions and did not get angry, but simply extended his hand as an invitation. The Qin family patriarch snorted coldly, crossed the bright sunlight, and headed towards the heavenly pool on the heavenly mountain. Not only the head of the Qin family, but also the head of the Qing family brought experts from his family. The leader of the Hun Tian Dao sect arrived with several elders. 30 elders from the Bei family arrived at once, led by a blind old man. Upon seeing the old man, the Qin family patriarch disregarded his anger and took the initiative to greet him. The current patriarch of the Qin family greets Elder Bei. The blind old man waved his hand and said, "I've also come to listen to the excitement. The Tianshan Mountains have always been unclaimed, and I've never heard of any owner. I'd really like to see it today." "He's just an arrogant and ignorant madman. Why bother Elder Bei?" The Qin family head complained to the Bei family for making the old man travel all the way here. "It's all right. I'm here for young Master Beichen. He was the future hope of the Bei family. Now that he's been killed, we can't leave him without an explanation," old Master Bei chuckled and said. The Qin family patriarch's heart tightened. He panicked when the old man smiled. He took a few steps back to create distance and said, "Old Bei is right. Please go first. Let's go up together. Our host is entertaining us. We can't keep him waiting." Old Bei chuckled and said. The Qin family patriarch insisted that Elder Bei leave first before he would go himself. Old Bei couldn't refuse the Qin family head's request, so he smiled and said, "The Qin family members are still very polite." The Qin family patriarch watched as Elder Bei went up. His expression changed, and he frowned at the people behind him, saying, "This old monster is here, what should we do?" He's so old, he should be all right, right? A reclusive elder asked, frowning. We'll take it one step at a time. Our main goal is to capture Qin Yu. It doesn't matter if we don't get the resources from the Tian Shan Mountains, said the Qin family elder. All right, Qin Yu must be captured and brought back. How dare she betray my Qin family and still want to live a carefree life? She's courting death. The Qin family patriarch said coldly, and then followed into the heavenly pool. What a vast heavenly lake, covered in snow. The area around Tianqi Lake is lush with trees, ancient trees, and sacred peaks, all of which are shorter than the lake, as if 10,000 peaks are guarding it. Tianqi Lake is very large, surrounded by numerous other lakes, with lush clouds and colorful mists dotting its edge, creating a breathtakingly beautiful scene. Beside these, the land was vast enough to create a grand venue. The ground was white, and tables and chairs were arranged in a large circle. Chapter 338 The Majesty of the Emperor. Part 4. The breathtaking beauty of Tianqi Lake is so stunning that it leaves one speechless. Some have exclaimed, it's like a celestial paradise descended to earth, inspiring longing in everyone. The leader of the Han Xiandao sect snorted coldly. This will all be ours from now on. There's no need to be envious. From today onwards, Tianqi will no longer be a beautiful sight in itself, but a beautiful sight that we all share. Upon hearing this, many people became excited. Looking at the beautiful scenery around them, many began to dream about how wonderful it would be to bring their beloved woman here. People from various factions arrived one after another and took their seats around the heavenly lake. We're all here. Where's your master? An old man smiled coldly, his killing intent palpable, his eyes filled with hostility as he looked at Xiandao's subordinates around him. Suddenly, a long howl rang out, approaching rapidly from afar, followed by a colossal body, as large as a mountain, crashing down beside the heavenly lake of Tianshan. Standing over 3 meters tall, its entire body was purple, and it was exceptionally powerful. Its powerful blood and qi erupted, engulfing the heavens and earth. With each breath, it was as if thunder was shaking and exploding. You're looking for my master, the Titan said in a deep voice, taking a step forward and landing in the center of the gathering. He looked around and locked onto the old man who had spoken. The old man's breath hitched as he felt a terrifying pressure that spread rapidly, causing a tremor that made it difficult for a large group of people to breathe. The Titan's power was unfathomable and terrifying. Everyone present frowned as they watched. Was this a show of force? The sheer power of the Titans caused even the reclusive elders of various factions to take a serious look. You're trying to intimidate us right from the start? Do you think we're easily scared? The leader of the Chaotic Heavens sect sneered, staring at the Titan without fear. Even if the Titans were incredibly powerful, those at the level of the cult leader wouldn't be afraid, because their strength was also considerable, and many experts from various factions had been dispatched. My master is on his way. Please be patient. Anyone who dares to make a sound will be in trouble. The Titan said coldly, paying particular attention to the leader of the Chaotic Heaven Path, making a mental note of him. How domineering. An elder from the Qing family slammed his fist on the table and shouted angrily, clearly indignant. This is my master's Tianshan Mountain. You are all uninvited guests. This matter will be resolved today. Do you still want to provoke my master? A chilling aura permeated the entire area. The temperature was already low due to the snow, and this aura caused it to drop even further. Who's playing tricks here? The old man from the Qing family said angrily. You want me to come out? The chilling aura grew even stronger. It was as if a terrifying monster was about to burst forth from the ground. Everyone looked at each other in bewilderment, not knowing what was happening. But it feels very dangerous. Get out here. What are you doing hiding in the shadows? The old man from the Qing family roared, his aura rising to a new level as he looked around. Rumble. But the next second, a huge roar shattered his momentum. In the disbelief of everyone, a giant python, hundreds of feet long, emerged from the bottom of the beautiful heavenly lake. Its scales were hard, its fangs were sharp, and its body was greenish-blue, clearly indicating that it was highly venomous. A giant python, already possessing extraordinary abilities, has now gained the power of deadly venom. Its terrifying aura oppresses the entire scene. Splash! A venomous python emerged from the heavenly lake, its enormous body standing upright, looking down at the crowd with icy eyes. The oppressive force was unbelievable to everyone. They stared at the venomous python, completely dumbfounded. The old man from the Bay family, in particular, became serious and said in a low voice, "If this venomous python and this titan join forces, I may not be able to withstand them." The Bay family members stared at Elder Bay in shock. They knew how powerful this old man was, almost reaching the level of an emperor. How could he say such a thing? What surprised them even more was that after the venomous python appeared, a person walked out into the endless snowstorm. A person dressed in white is walking towards them. The wind and snow fall on him, but he doesn't get hurt. He lightly jumps away and continues to fall to the ground. Clad in white, wearing a mask, and exuding unparalleled aura, he took a step forward. Thump! The earth suddenly trembled. This was not a simple earthquake, but rather the earth's veins pulsating. That leap seemed to resonate in the hearts of everyone present. Everyone's heart started pounding. Many powerful figures at the level of sect leaders had drastically changed their expressions, staring at Xiandao in disbelief. I actually started beating along with it. The leader of the Chaotic Heavens sect clutched his heart, unable to believe it. Is this the Lord of Tianshan? A reclusive elder stared in shock, his heart sinking. An unparalleled master. This person has already touched the Emperor realm. Elder Bay of the Bay family murmured, his body trembling in disbelief. His heart pounded in sync with Xiandao's every step. He's practically on the verge of becoming an emperor. Thump. As Xiandao took his second step, the earth's veins seemed to come alive, throbbing violently. The hearts of the other people continued to beat. Those with lower strength coughed up blood, their hearts feeling like they were about to explode. Xiandao approached from afar and took his third step. Puff, puff, puff. In that instant, everyone below the epic realm from all the major powers felt their hearts shatter. When Xiandao took that step, hundreds of people died. All of them had their hearts ruptured, unable to withstand the pressure, and died suddenly. The leaders, elders, and reclusive old men of all sects are going crazy. The Emperor. The elder of the Bay family stood up in shock and anger, staring at Xiandao and shouting. He was now absolutely certain that this Lord of Tianshan was an emperor. The emperor's power was fully demonstrated at this moment. The power to suppress someone of low strength is terrifying. Xiandao took his fourth step, and with a loud boom, snowflakes danced in the air above the heavenly mountain as the great Dao descended, an event of unparalleled terror. The emperor treads the Dao, and the great Dao of this world is all at the emperor's disposal. Now Xiandao will use the great Dao of the emperor to suppress it. Boom. Even those at the epic realm couldn't withstand it. They all began spitting blood, collapsed to the ground, and were on the verge of death. Xiandao stepped into the crowd, stood with his hands behind his back, and said, "From now on, no major power is allowed to interfere in the Tianshan Mountains. Whoever interferes will die." His domineering words, coupled with Xiandao's tall and imposing figure, made everyone look at him as an invincible immortal. Now, who agrees and who disagrees? Xiandao asked, looking around. No one dared to object. The elder of the Bay family raised his hand and said firmly, "The Bay family objects." "Why should I object?" Xiandao asked indifferently. "You are an emperor, but my Bay family also has emperors," Old Man Bay roared. Xiandao looked towards the edge of the sky, where an emperor carrying a great Dao was riding on clouds, his unparalleled aura sweeping across the Tianshan Mountains. "Since you've become a soul lost under my emperor's sword." Xiandao didn't stand on ceremony, pointing his fingers like a sword into the air. Boom. The heavens and earth trembled suddenly. A wisp of sword energy, mixed with countless snowflakes, fell in a flurry. With a boom, The sword energy abruptly transformed into countless snowflakes. Outside the Tianshan Mountains, Xiandao witnessed a snowfall, and this snowfall enveloped an emperor. The emperor was furious. Like Xiandao, he had just entered this realm, but it was clear that he was no match for Xiandao. Snowflakes fall gently, landing on you, yet causing endless harm. They tear your clothes, not your body, but your soul. Soul sword. This is the sword technique that Xiandao comprehended after absorbing the massive amount of soul energy within the soul-suppressing stone. It directly severes the soul. No matter how strong your physical body is, you cannot withstand this sword strike. An emperor buried himself in a snowflake, and Xiandao looked at everyone in the Tianshan Mountains, too lazy to waste words, and turned to slap them. Boom. The safety of the Tianshan Mountains, which Murong Longqing and the others had been worried about, was temporarily resolved by Xiandao's slap. Murong Longqing watched from a great distance, swallowing hard, and said, "If that emperor who was more than 10,000 years younger had such a terrifying master, we wouldn't be able to defend the Tianshan Mountains at all." Ling Wu nodded, also quite shocked, and said, "That emperor isn't even worthy to carry my master's shoes." Chapter 339 New Guests. Part 5. On the Heavenly Lake, Xiandao, from a great distance, buried an emperor with a heavy snowfall. On Tianqi Lake, Xiandao's subordinates were all amazed, while Bei Lao, the only survivor at the scene, collapsed to the ground, his expression blank. "It's over, it's all over." Old Bei stared blankly at Xiandao, unable to understand why the Lord of Tianshan was so powerful. Oh, Emperor! That was the most outstanding master of the previous generation of the Bei family. An emperor who had accumulated countless glories and grown up. The emperor who could have protected the northern clan for at least 30,000 years died so easily. He died in a heavy snowfall sent by Xiandao. This is unacceptable. Old Master Bei had watched this emperor grow up. He himself could no longer break through to the emperor level, so he placed his hopes on his descendants. But now, in Xiandao's hands, that hope was completely vulnerable. Looking around the entire arena, he was the only one who managed to hold on by relying on his cultivation level, which was almost at the level of an emperor. All the other disciples, elders, and sect leader had their hearts shattered by Xiandao's three-step attack. "I told you I would give you an answer in 3 days. Are you satisfied with this answer?" Xiandao said coldly, looking at the corpses on the ground with an expressionless gaze. It was because he saw them playing around that Xiandao sent the Moon Angel to deliver the invitation. Xiandao knew that once he absorbed the enormous energy within the soul-suppressing stone, he would definitely be able to break through to the Emperor realm. At that time, all these troubles would no longer be troubles. Sure enough, the problem that seemed so troublesome to Xiandao 3 days ago was resolved much more smoothly than expected. "You madman! You slaughtered more than a dozen people from major powers, and you even killed my family's newly promoted emperor. You will be punished." Old Man Bei cursed, trembling. Xiandao scoffed. "I slaughtered you all? It seems like you're the ones who want to seize the Tianshan Mountains and have taken the initiative to attack and invade our Tianshan, right?" Xiandao sneered. Old Bei said regretfully, "I regret it so much. We shouldn't have come to Tianshan. Now that young Master Beichen is dead and the Emperor is dead, the hope of my Bei family has been extinguished. You can go die too." Xiandao said coldly, "I'm old enough to die, but I'm not reconciled. I'm not reconciled to the hope of the Bei family being killed by you like this, so I'm going to kill you." Old Man Bei stood up angrily. Against the backdrop of all the corpses in the room, he was the only outsider, staring at Xiandao. Boom. His cultivation, which was almost at the level of an emperor, erupted completely. Although it was not as terrifying as Xiandao's control of a world, it was still very powerful. "You are no match for me at all," Xiandao said coldly. "I know, but I will still kill you. You killed so many people in my Bei family. If I, as the patriarch, do not take action against you, I would be letting them down." Old Man Bei roared, raising his hand, his most powerful Dao condensing in his palm. The fierce flames of the northern family erupted in his palm. Near the extremely cold Tianqi Lake in the Tian Shan Mountains, a wave of heat suddenly rose up, emanating from Bei Lao. He unleashed all his power in a desperate fight. "I hope you will kill me with all your might, so that I can witness the power of an emperor," Elder Bei stated his request. Li Xiandao thought for a moment and said, "Then you probably can't feel it." Old Bei frowned. What did he mean by that? "You wouldn't understand even if I explained. Since you asked me before you died, I will grant your request." Li Xiandao took a step forward, and countless sword energies surged from his body. Rumble. The sword energy was overwhelming, like rain, instantly engulfing the entire Tian Shan Mountains. At this moment, the area around Tian Shan was filled with sword light. Each sword aura was incomparably powerful and extremely terrifying. Those within this sword energy, Old Bei, only felt a blur before his eyes as a sea of sword energy surged forth, instantly engulfing him, and then nothing more. Each sword strike took away a wisp of his soul, and in a brief moment, Elder Bei's soul was completely torn apart. Just as Li Xiandao said, he couldn't feel it. He was completely unaware of the terrifying power of the sword strike, because he died instantly upon contact. Just 5 seconds later, the sword energy dissipated, and Old Man Bei's corpse was gone. It had been torn to shreds by the sword energy and vanished into the sky. A master who was almost at the level of an emperor died just like that, in an instant, without even being able to unleash his moves. Li Xiandao is that powerful right now. Clean up all these corpses. From this moment on, the Tian Shan Mountains are completely sealed off. No one is allowed to enter the inner circle, but ordinary people can hunt and chop wood on the outer circle. Li Xiandao immediately instructed Murong Longqing. As for the fact that he had just killed a master who was almost at the level of an emperor, Li Xiandao felt nothing at all. Just like when you step on an ant, do you feel anything? Yes, master. Murong Long submitted to Li Xiandao's domineering presence. Only now did he realize how powerful his master truly was. He didn't know that 3 days ago, Li Xiandao was not as powerful as him. It was only thanks to monk Tianxin killing the young master of Beichen and obtaining the soul-suppressing stone that Li Xiandao's power was greatly enhanced. "All right, our contract is now complete. I've protected the Tian Shan Mountains for you and killed all the invading enemies. From now on, you should cultivate diligently and serve me," Li Xiandao said calmly. "It is an honor for Murong Longqing to serve his master," Murong Longqing said respectfully. The Titan replied humbly, "Me too." The venomous python lowered its head, signifying its submission. As for Li Xiandao's other subordinates, they had already submitted. "All right, it's time to expand our business and settle old scores in the days to come." Li Xiandao looked up at the sky and murmured. Since entering the cold moon heaven, Li Xiandao has not dealt with his debt problems much, as he has been either cultivating or dealing with troubles in the Tian Shan Mountains. Only now, after Li Xiandao has broken through to the Emperor realm and established a firm foothold in Honyue heaven, does he have the confidence to settle old scores. Otherwise, if Li Xiandao's subordinates were all at the Cave Heaven realm or Boundless realm, wouldn't they be beaten to death if they went to a major power to settle old scores? With one step, Li Xiandao arrived at the Heaven and Earth Bank, found Xiao Qi, and wanted to inquire about the contractual debt. Unexpectedly, Xiao Qi was also looking for Li Xiandao and said, "We have a guest." Li Xiandao was taken aback. He hadn't expected that, just when he was about to ask about the contract, a guest would arrive. What is the guest's background? Li Xiandao asked, leading Xiao Qi to the trading hall. Li Xiandao always looked forward to new guests, and he welcomed anyone who could bring profits to the Heaven and Earth money shop. The new guest is a talented young man. He was possessed by someone, and in a moment of hardship, he crushed the pocket watch, Xiao Qi said. "Is he someone we know?" Li Xiandao asked casually, since many acquaintances had come before. "Not someone I know," Xiao Qi answered confidently. Li Xiandao didn't care, since he had very few acquaintances in Honyue heaven anyway. Chapter 340 Zhong Ziki. Part 6. Deep in the mountains and forests, There was a Taoist gate that had been in disrepair for many years and was in a dilapidated state. People who usually cut firewood dared not go deep into it, as it was overgrown with weeds, trees, and vines. Now, countless vines are intertwined here, blocking the way around the Taoist gate. Inside the Taoist temple, many poisonous insects and snakes fled in panic, fearing that if they were even a little slow, they would encounter danger. In the perception of these venomous insects and snakes, something extremely terrifying had emerged from the Taoist sect. Inside the Taoist sect, a young man with both legs broken stared blankly at the terrifying monster before him. A mass of demonic energy, within which something terrifying flickered. Young people know this. It's the soul. 10,000 years. Do you know that? The souls within the demonic energy wept, surrounding the young man, their tears turning into highly concentrated sulfuric acid that dripped down and immediately corroded the ground. 10,000 years. I've been sealed here for 10,000 years. No one has come to save me. No one has ever come. I'm so miserable. The soul in the demonic energy cried as it spoke, wailing and sobbing, its grief utterly heart-wrenching. But the young man gave a sneer. If they knew that this is how you treat people who come in, they should be glad they didn't come in. He entered this deep mountain forest while searching for treasure, discovered the Taoist gate, and fell into a well-prepared trap. His legs were completely broken, and he could not escape. Only a soul trapped in demonic energy would feign such weeping, tears streaming down its face, recounting its sorrows. I didn't do anything to you. You stepped on it yourself. It's all fate. The old man sent you to save me. Since it's fate, we can only accept it. The soul in the demonic energy said innocently. The rolling demonic energy transformed into a human face, looking harmless. After all, heaven is the greatest, the soul within the demonic energy said casually. You say this is God's arrangement? The young man smiled sarcastically, looking at the demon. That's right, it's God's arrangement. God is the greatest, and we can't go against God no matter what we do. The demon easily moved closer to the young man, his nose twitching as he sniffed the young man's flesh, intoxicated by the sensation. This is the scent of flesh. I haven't had a body for 100,000 years. How pitiful. The demon sniffed with ecstasy, completely absorbed in the aroma. The young man scoffed. You're just lusting after my body. Yes, I just want your body. Although your cultivation level isn't high in my eyes, it doesn't matter. I only want your body. Your body is the greatest gift to me, the demon said excitedly. Do you think you can succeed? The young man asked. I think it's a good idea, the demon nodded. I don't think so, the young man retorted. What other abilities do you have to resist? The demon was stunned. It was in no hurry to kill the young man because it needed a good body, so this body could not die. Look, do you recognize this? The young man stretched out his hand, and a blood-red pocket watch appeared in his palm. The demon was stunned, looking at the pocket watch with a bewildered expression. What is this? The demon asked. Something that can save my life. The young man paused slightly, then squeezed hard. Click. The young man's body slowly faded away. No! The demon roared in madness. It had waited for 100,000 years, 100,000 years of loneliness, to finally obtain a human body, and it was unwilling to lose it. I'm going to possess you right now, the demon roared, and began the possession the moment the young man faded away. The young man screamed in agony, his head throbbing with pain, and he immediately lost consciousness. His body faded and disappeared. The demon also disappeared. Inside the trading hall of the Heaven and Earth Bank, Xiandao was waiting for his guests to arrive when, in the next second, a figure appeared out of thin air and crashed heavily to the ground. Thump. A dull thud echoed around. Xiandao and Xiao Qi exchanged a glance. What's going on? Xiandao asked. Xiao Qi controls all the guests' information. Xiao Qi walked over, reached out and patted the unconscious young man awake. Save me, Master of the Heaven and Earth Bank. I am willing to pay any price. After waking up, the young man saw the scene around him and immediately knelt down in front of Xiandao, pleading. Clearly, he had already learned about the Heaven and Earth Bank through the pocket watch, saving Xiandao the trouble of explaining. Sit up first, Xiandao said calmly, looking at the young man. He knew this young man was in big trouble, even a life-or-death situation. Xiandao's first thought was, how much should this contract rip him off? After experiencing the troubles in the Tian Shan Mountains, Xiandao felt he had been too lenient and decided to squeeze more out of clients in future contracts. The young man obediently sat up. He couldn't stand up. His legs were broken. Sit down in the chair, Xiandao continued calmly. The young man obediently circulated his inner energy, making himself fly, and sat in the chair, looking at Xiandao with trepidation. Introduce yourself and tell me about the trouble you've encountered. Xiandao nodded in satisfaction. After Xiandao's cold response, the young man calmed down and began to tell his story. My name is Zhong, and I am a traveler who has journeyed to various parts of the world, the young man said. Xiandao's eyes lit up, and he said, travel to various worlds? Zhong nodded and said, I travel around the 9 heavens, collecting treasures and exploring unknown territories. These are my pleasures. I am 3,000 years old this year, and I have been traveling around the 9 heavens for almost 3,000 years. Zhong may look young, but he is already 3,000 years old. He is experienced and knowledgeable, and knows a great deal about the people and things in the 9 heavens. He can be considered an encyclopedia of the 9 heavens. This is why he was able to communicate with the demon when he encountered him, and he did not panic even though his legs were broken. Go on, Xiandao said, listening silently. I came to Honyue Heaven this time to find a treasure, but I didn't find any treasure at the location. Instead, I found a demon. Zhong took a deep breath and said, how powerful is this demon? Xiandao asked. His gaze was fixed on Zhong's head, within which Xiandao saw a mass of demonic energy, suppressed by the power of the Heaven and Earth Bank. The demon has entered Zhong's body, and together they enter the Heaven and Earth Bank. I am at the peak of the epic realm, just one step away from breaking through to the great venerable realm, but in the eyes of the demon, I am very weak. Zhong swallowed hard. In the cold moon heaven, starting from the 10th heaven, one transitions through the boundless realm, enters the epic chanting realm, and then reaches the great venerable 9th heaven. After the great venerable, comes the emperor realm. Xiandao is at the emperor level, while a demon who can say that someone at the peak of the epic level is a weakling must be very powerful. But no matter how powerful he was, it was useless. He entered the Heaven and Earth Bank, where Xiandao was the boss.